Hi, everyone. Welcome to Talks with My Dude. I'm your host, Nick, my dude. Today is our first ever episode. We've got our lovely friend, John Titor here. How you doing, John?
Hi, I'm doing pretty well.
That's good. Hopefully you've been enjoying some downtime. You just got some new content out, Mr. John Content.
Yeah, there normally I would be like, yeah, all right, let me take a break, but now I have to look at my backlog and organize that and figure out what I'm going to do next, and there's some new stuff I want to learn, and it's a cycle, but I'm getting into a rhythm about it and I really enjoy it, so I can't complain too much.
That's great. Well, so just for any of our listeners or viewers that haven't seen your content or interacted with any of your streams or anything like that, why don't you give yourself a brief introduction for them?
Yeah, I'm John Titor. I'm a multimedia artist and content creator, and I also run a small variety gaming community on Discord.
Would you be okay if I linked that Discord in the description?
Sure, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, my Discord will be in there, and yours will be in there. It's John's is more of a hub for multiple content creators at this point. Lots of really cool people in there. So yeah, how do you feel about that? Actually, I'll just skip right into the community aspect of being a content creator. How does it
Sure,
feel
sure.
to
Yeah.
have seen your Discord grow? Because I know it was relatively big when I joined, but you've gotten more and more content creators in there recently.
hmm Yeah, honestly it's kind of a surreal thing for me cuz like I originally started doing videos and making content like 10 years ago, but it was a way for me to archive stuff that I had
Mm-hmm.
just done with my friends on all the different like random games we played. But over time I developed like a passion for the actual process of it. So I thought to myself, well, let's see how far we can take this then. And I kind of got serious about it like 2-ish years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So going from like I'm just hanging out with the three dudes I know to there's 100 people online on my Discord that want to play. Is it? I
At
know
any
that
given
like
moment too. Like it's 24
yeah,
hours. There's always somebody.
yeah. I know that like that's not like a huge number in the content creator world, but to me it feels insane.
Yeah, I don't think anybody who like does content creation realizes how big 100 people is. Like actually, like if you like online, you see 100 views, you're like, oh, that's not very many views. But if you go outside and like try to do the same conversations you had in that video in front of 100 people,
Oh
it's
yeah,
completely different. So
yeah,
I can only imagine what it'd be like to have to deal with like some of the millions of viewers people do. It's like
yeah.
stadiums, you know.
Yeah, that's insanity to me. Like I don't even know how something like that would be like processable by a mind. For me, even being in a call like with like 6 people is like, oh, this is a big room. This is cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to play off of here. There's a lot of people talking, and it's a lot of fun. And then you realize that there's like, well, there's a bunch of people here, and there's a bunch of people that are watching your stuff, and it's pretty surreal. Like if you're listening to this and you're like a small content creator and you're just getting started, and you're pulling like 10 viewers, like you're like me, you're like a 30 viewer Andy on Twitch, like don't downplay like the impact of that because if you were running a comedy set and you had 30 people, that's a pretty good set.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
think
good start.
it's definitely. I talked about this with a few people that I know that are wanting to be like more serious streamers and stuff, and they talk about like how the numbers get to them, and I'm like, you can't really like if you look at the numbers, you're gonna beat yourself up. You got to remember how many people
Yeah,
like 20, 10, 20, 30, or more people is
100%.
like actually is.
Yeah, 100%. You have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy learning about how to make content and learning new ways to put content out there and getting yourself out there and putting all the like behind the scenes stuff together. And if you learn to enjoy that and become passionate about that, you could have no viewers and you'll still be making something quality. And then as long as what you're doing is good content, there's a big myth in content creation, I think, where people are assuming like, oh, well, everybody who's big just bought viewers now because there's
Mm-hmm.
no competition. The market is saturated. There's too many creators. That's not true at all. I started in a very saturated space at a time where the sentiment for the main game we play on my server is like Destiny 2. And the sentiment, if you don't
My
know about that
apologies.
game, has not been not yeah, exactly. It has not been the most positive. And so that kind of foments a lot of negative sentiment around even making content for a game like that. because who wants to be the guy making videos for the game that everybody hates, you know, that kind of thing. But if you have a positive attitude and if you take yourself seriously enough to be like, well, no matter what, I'm just going to do the best job that I can. I genuinely believe that you can make it. Also, you gotta be like, you gotta be on everything nowadays. Like the days of being like just a
or X.
Yeah, if you're just a Twitch streamer or just a YouTube streamer or you're only upload to TikTok or anything like that, you're missing out on this like massive breadth of ability to reach a new audience. Yeah. So you definitely, I just made an Instagram the other day because I realized I wasn't posting to Instagram, and that was a huge potential audience I'm missing out on. So try to be on everything, take yourself seriously, believe that you can do it even if you don't think you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is interesting. It's like crazy to see, right? Like as it, being in like aware of the content creator space, watching content and stuff, the changes of like availability of content, because 10 15 years ago it was you either watched YouTube or you really didn't see anything, and maybe you could watch like a streamer on Twitch. Now that it's like they're on Twitch, they make TikToks, they make YouTube videos, they like content is out like constantly and it's everywhere. Yep. So I think that is if you were to tell like me 10 years ago that content would be like at the way it is now, I would actually probably not believe you, because there's just so much. Like people are making so much, it's going around so much. But speaking of content, like you mentioned it a little bit, like you got started kind of like making it as archival footage of you and your buddies playing your games. But like, how did that like initially get started for you, and like, what was your first initial goal?
So originally, it was literally just, oh, I have so much fun playing with my friend group from like high school, and it was me, another dude named Nick, funnily enough, and a few other guys, and we had like a league. I don't know what you would call it in League of Legends. In Final Fantasy 14, it's like a static. But I don't know like a normal, I guess just like a regular team. But we had like a pretty consistent team of people we played with, and we would always have so much fun on the game. And even if we were losing or even if we were getting absolutely like demolished, just the banter and the enjoyment of like early League of Legends was so much fun that we would all end the night just dying of laughter. So eventually I said, this is really fun. I'm having a lot of fun. I would like to be able to relive these moments when I get older. And like this was when I was like I said, I was in high school, so I was still a teenager at the time. I would really like to be able to look back on this stuff and be like, haha, this was so much fun. And so I started with like cracked Bandicam, like pirated, unlocked keygen Bandicam. Like, yeah, Fraps and Bandicam were my go-tos back in the day.
Fraps is still around. So I would just to cut
it is. Sorry. It is. It's crazy.
It's really funny. But,
yeah. I think the first video I uploaded was actually done with Fraps. Maybe I'd have to go back and like check and dig it out of the old hard drive that's on, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But yeah, originally it was just like, well, let me just save the funniest stuff because I don't have enough hard drive space to record entire games of League. Let me just take the game that I played, I'll cut up what I can, and I'll just throw it on YouTube, and I'll just have it in an archive. And actually, a lot of my older videos are not even on my main channel. They're on like an old, like private personal channel that I have just to keep those things as memories, as like a journal, like a video journal kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, I like I said, I developed like a passion for like trying to find the best way to get something uploaded. How do I work with these limited resources I had? Because I started making videos on a Sony Vaio laptop in 2009. And so the performance was not the best, and the ability to actually capture quality material was not the best for me. So I was like, how do I make the most out of this very limited tool that I have at my disposal? And back in the day, like I said, it was all cracked stuff. So it was like cracked Sony Vegas, Audacity plugins that you had to pay for that I ended up just finding a way to get, and so on and so forth. And so I developed this like real passion for like, well, yeah, allegedly John Titor may or may not have, helped himself to a 5-finger discount.
Yeah, exactly.
But over time, it was just like even the process of finding new ways to make content was really interesting and fun to me, and it became kind of this special interest hobby I had. And so like if you go back through my channel, there was no real like rhyme or reason. It was literally just like random like footage of whatever we were playing that week. So like there's like Ark,
Mhm.
there's Rocket League, there's like old World of Warcraft raid clips, all kinds of like crazy stuff. There's like Counter-Strike back there and
Right.
stuff like that. And like the upload cadence was completely non-existent. Like it was like I would like throw something up and then like a year later there'd be a new clip or whatever.
A whole year. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I think I would describe that kind of content as like the people do it more now. It's like stream highlights for the month. You know that kind of
Right. Right.
like top moments. It's not like pre-planned content. It's not like
Yeah.
going out and purposefully like me and my 4 buddies are gonna play Ark and try to survive with only using
Mhm.
sticks or something for a month.
Well, and yeah, and if you look at my like my content now, that's what a lot of it is on YouTube. Is just like, oh, here's the funniest things that happened in the last 3 weeks, and I
Mhm.
kind of try to string them together. And if there's a storyline that kind of emerges from that, a lot of my videos are like single raid instances now, where it's like I'll go through a raid in Destiny 2 and just capture all the best nonsense that me and the people I'm playing with just like say or do,
Unless
and
you
try to throw
forget
that
the
into a
bit at
video.
the streaming table when you get up to get some water.
Yeah, unless I start a bit and just it completely leaves my brain, which happens a lot. But yeah, it
For
was
the
a
John Titor
situation where it's
video
like,
viewers, that's a reference to his most recent video as of time of release.
that's right. But yeah, it's like it's one of those things where I started doing it. I started getting, I guess, what you could call good at it. And
Hmm.
my friends were like, "Well, you should stream on Twitch. You should," because I never used to stream. All of
Right.
this was just like recorded gameplay sessions that because I didn't have the bandwidth, I didn't have the internet. Like I said, I was working with a Sony Vaio like laptop with a cracked screen, so there was
Oh
no
yeah,
real way for me to like
you were in the
get on
trenches.
Twitch. Yeah, I was it. We were gaming back in the day, back in like the World of Warcraft Cataclysm days, dude.
Back in my
I was
day.
gaming. I had like the laptop would get hot, so I had to put it on like a little table because WoW would make it run real
Oh
hot
god,
because
the
it was trying to
laptop
like
tables,
cache
bro.
all this information. Yeah, dude,
I remember
we were
those.
in the trenches with some of these videos. But I eventually started to get good at it and I said, well, I see other people do this as like a full-time job. And some people are like, there's obviously levels of success to it, but
Hmm.
at the top end, people are very comfortable and very successful and they reach millions of people. And what they're doing is not that different from what I do. So let me take this a little more seriously. Let me put together a server. Let me put together like an actual media presence beyond I'm shit posting on Twitter and YouTube.
Shit posting is
And
great though.
and let me see where this can go. And so far it's been an incredible ride. Like meeting you and meeting everybody else that I have in this space has been so much fun. Every time I'm ready to go live, I'm super excited for what's going to happen. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you say you're excited. You're happy to like meet me or whatever. I'm sure that first Halo night you were like, I wonder who this guy is. I hope he goes away.
I'm not going to lie, I was a little like, damn, is it really like that now? After that first like Halo session, I was like, well, all right, I guess I got to step my game up a little. It was kind of like I recently did a 1v1 with Misum from TDT and he
Hmm.
absolutely like dog walked me. And so I was like, nah, there's no way I'm that bad at Destiny 2 now. So like I'm in the background, I'm kind of going into my bag and sort of relearning all the little tricks I used to know and sort of relearning how to play those kinds of games. I think one of the big disadvantages of being a variety guy is that you'll never really be as elite as like the top guys in any given thing. Like I'll never be like I'm okay at Counter Strike and like CS2, CS:GO.
Hmm.
I'll never be like at the level that my friends that know life that game are at. They can do things with smokes and frags and setups that I can't even like geometrically envision.
Oh
But
yeah, there's like
I can hang
so much.
kinda, you know. There's a lot of that in being a variety creator where you have to sort of I used to be super competitive. I used to play in MLG in the Halo 2 days and the Halo 3 days. So it's like there's a bit of ego check that has to happen if you're going to do variety where you're like, well, maybe I just pull myself back and just kind of enjoy what I can do, you know?
Right. Speaking of Halo 2, Halo 3 MLG, I don't know if you've seen me post this. I've talked about it a couple times in your in the grid, which is John's Discord, in general chat. When talking about Halo specifically, people will be like, "How long have you been playing?" And I was like, I didn't have my first Halo game till 2010, and I didn't start playing online Halo till 2012. So a bunch of my friends that I've made since 2012, my twos partner actually that I mentioned, Hardway, he's like,
Mhm.
man, I wish he said it more than once. He's like, I wish you had like the opportunity in like Halo 2, Halo 3. Every time he talks about it. I'm like,
Mhm.
he's
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
you would have been an absolute menace in the 2007 days for sure.
I would like to think so. I like to not put myself as a very skillful player, just above average generally. And I think I kind of was more down on myself than I needed to be on that first night we played Halo with your community because I only play with like my buddies in Halo and like in ranked, so I'm only playing with people around our skill level. And I think I kind of lost the fox. I know there's a horrible phrase, but how the skill curve in Halo actually is versus what I think it is.
Mhm.
Because I showed up to the
Mhm.
night and was like, there'll be some like decent, like whatever. And at the end of it, people were like, "What pro team are you on?" And I was like, "Oh no, that is."
Oh yeah, yeah. You dropped like a 50 bomb in the second game, and everybody just got quiet in the room. It was so funny because it was like, holy! It was the who is this guy effect. It was really really funny. But yeah, the skill curve for Halo is definitely an interesting thing because you have people like my wife who you'll be lucky if she can turn 180 degrees inside of 3 seconds to like shoot at a grunt in campaign on normal mode.
Mhm.
And then like there's people like you, there's people like my brothers who were like campaign speedrunners back in the day who were like, well, let me just sword fly to the Banshee and I'm gonna grab the Banshee and I'm gonna break off this wing but not the other wing, and then I'm gonna pilot it through the tunnel because the scarab gun's on the other side and I want to use it for the one level I have it for. It was
Yeah.
like they were
God, that was
absolutely
such a
nuts with
cool
it back
thing.
in the day. Yeah, like well that was even there was just like I'm going to try my best not to get negative about modern Bungie and modern gaming, but the fact that that was even there was kind of a big
John, we
deal. That's all I'm
promised.
going to. I promised. I promised I would be positive before we started. We're going to be positive. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like for me it's like fighting games. Like I got my start on fighting games when I was like playing games like in the arcade, like way back in the 90s and back in the day, and going to the arcade and oh, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 2 is here. I'm gonna play this, and you go on like kind of a win streak. You're like
Yep.
playing on that quarter because you only have like 4 quarters. Your mom only gave you $1, and so like you can't really afford to lose too much. And then that guy that kid comes in and he's like 13. He's a little older than you, and he absolutely just demolishes you. And you realize your whole mind opens up to like, oh, there's this whole nother level of the game that I didn't even realize was there. Like I had no perception of it. And every once in a while you run into a person like yourself or you run into a person like Misum or anybody else. A lot of the people in my community, there's like a lot of like stealth sweats in Destiny 2
Yeah.
that you wouldn't know them because they don't really make content, but they will absolutely demolish you in a 1v1. And we've run across a couple of those people and I've been fighting for my life on a couple of those in the 1v1s I do over on the Discord every so often.
Yeah, I think it's just really fun to like to see in your community specifically. I don't know if I think it might just be the way you present yourself when you're streaming, kind of like the approach you take to these. But I don't see anyone in your community. I've seen some rumblings of some stuff, but like no one is like outspokenly like I'm the best or like
Mhm.
full of themselves beyond what is like reasonable. Because like you mentioned fighting games, you have some fighting game people in there like Anakin who beat the shit out of me for 200 games in a row, and he's still like, bro, you're so good. Like he literally will tell me how great I am for losing 200 games in a row, and I'm like, okay, okay, guy. Like, thank you so much for teaching me, but can you can you stop? Can you not be so good? God damn it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in I think in fighting games in general too, because for the longest time the FGC was with this community that was super insular until people started kind of discovering it through the internet and the rise of like Evo clips and
Mhm.
being able to share cool stuff about fighting games and people going from not really knowing what they are to sort of understanding to being good at it. One of my most favorite things about having done content creation in a more public way is having started to get people into fighting games with Guilty Gear Strive and watching people improve. I'm being so serious right now when I tell you that I have never been more proud or impressed with a community of people than watching you guys all pick up the game and go from, well, what's the grab button?
What's the
What's the
grab
block
button, John? I
button?
don't know how to move. What am I
To
doing?
okay, I got a knockdown. I need my strike throw set up here. I'm gonna dash up. I'm gonna whiff this jab, or I'm gonna wake up to you doing 6P so that I knock you over, and then I'm gonna go for it again. Like, it's so
You better block this
pleasing.
2D or you're gonna really hate your life for
Yeah,
a while.
exactly. Like, even hearing you guys talk about the notation or talk about like, hey, how do I do that combo, has been an absolute and utter joy. And I definitely think that that exists because you don't really. I guess it kind of comes to a little bit from how I present myself, but it's a lot of like, don't kill the vibe. Don't be that guy that's like, well, I'm just gonna double perfect everybody. I'm just gonna like play balls out and do whatever I want to do. And that creates this environment where like it feels like you're not climbing a mountain anymore. You're just at the bottom of the ocean and you're never getting out, kind of
Oh,
a thing.
absolutely.
And I've definitely tried to like push the community in that direction, but for the most part, everybody's kind of organically been that way. I think everybody just wants to have fun at the end of the day, and as long as you don't like jump out there, I mean, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, nobody's perfect. Like, we've had situations where we're like, well, I'm just gonna ban that guy because he's kind of being a dick, so we're just gonna get you out of here. But that's I can count on like one hand the amount of times that's had to happen over 2 years.
Yeah, it's definitely something you've done to put like presented and pushed for because I don't want to give like examples because I don't want to sound like I'm putting any streamers down or anything, but like if you go to some places,
Mm-hmm.
the way they present themselves, the community emulates that in their community like interactions with each other, and like
Oh yeah.
some of them are really not great. It's kind of more prevalent, I think, of the creators I watch in Yu-Gi-Oh, because in Yu-Gi-Oh there's a lot of like, oh, you misplayed here, streamer bad type vibe, and
Yeah.
it's kind of annoying. It's gotten better over the last couple of years because the creator like made like a really long post about it and was like, hey, like this shit is not okay. So
Mm-hmm.
it's nice because that's like a I would say like a gaming culture thing that's changed over the last 5 years for sure, and has been slowly changing over like the last like 10 since
150%.
content creation has kind of gotten more and more, I don't want to say personal because there's a lot of like, what is that what's the term, parasocial that happens,
I
but
was
like,
just about to say that, yeah.
yeah, there's a lot more
At
like,
the risk of sounding like not great, like parasociality is it's kind of a double-edged sword because there's I think there's goods and bads to it, but go ahead and finish your thought and then I'll go ahead and reply.
yeah, so like 10 years ago, if somebody was doing Twitch, there wasn't like Discord viewer game nights where the creator would just hang out with you. And like YouTube was YouTube, right? Like they might reply to you in the comments, maybe, or like highlight your comment. But now it's like this, like 10 years ago, like even if you were as big as you are now, like 10 years ago, I wouldn't like, it would not even cross my mind that I could have like a conversation and like collaborate and play like multiple different games with you. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's definitely something that I think is a good thing for like gaming overall. But like we mentioned, there's also like this issue of like parasocial growth, and it's something I am so terrified about every time I ask you if you want to do anything. I'm like, I'm like, is he
I
gonna think I'm a weirdo for wanting him to come in and be the first guest on my podcast when we've only played like 7 games together?
Yeah, I think it's a problem of, again, like it's an ego thing where it's like, for me it feels really weird to even be called like a big creator in any way. Like, I have 61,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? But I don't really watch that number.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I say that out loud, it doesn't feel real because I've been doing like I'm trying to take this more seriously, but I've really only been doing it as a side thing because I've got kids, I've got a wife, I take care of them throughout the week, and I do like, I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I do a lot of like the extracurriculars and stuff for the kids. And so
Mm-hmm.
like 80 to 85% of my time is on that, and then I try to take care of myself a little bit with like exercise and trying not to get too crazy on my diet and stuff like that. So for really for me, this has really been like a background project still. Even at some point I would very much like to go full time as a creator. I would very much like to be like, every day we're streaming, we're doing stuff, we're
Mm-hmm.
hanging out, we're having a good time, and being able to reach a wider audience that way. But for me, it's like, it feels even weird to hear people like, oh, Mr. Streamer, big streamer man, do this. Is like, I'm not a big streamer, am I? Like, I don't have 100 viewers consistently yet or anything like that. I know that the YouTube is doing really well, and I'm very happy for that. I'm very proud of it. But it's like, I definitely think it's an ego thing where people see that number go up and then they get it in their heads that, well, I'm somebody now, so I can do whatever I want, or I can let these negative elements of my personality out and I can be toxic or be this. Or in the case of like competitive games, a lot of the times the biggest names in the game are the ones that are the best at the game. And so that creates a sort of tastemaker like mentality where it's like, well, I get to decide what to do because I'm rank one, or I get to decide how the game is because I'm this, I'm that. I know the game best, so I know what's best. And then that leaks into their personal relationships or how they communicate with their audience. I definitely, like I said a second ago, I think parasociality is a two-edged sword.
Mhm.
I think that there's a very good way to use it to connect to people and to have genuine human interaction with people that you would otherwise never meet. But I think that it's you have to be very careful about that, because if you go, let's say for example, like a lot of this happens a lot in the VTubing community where like a lot of VTubers will be like, I had to ban my mod today because they started asking weird personal questions or stuff like that, or I had to ban this person who found out who I really was, or like there's all these horror stories of like people getting doxxed and people getting their privacy like invaded by individuals that should know better, individuals that and one of the things I try to be as personable as possible, but I definitely also want to like create the correct sense that like, yeah, I'm a human being, I'm approachable and everything like that. I can't be here all the time. I can't be like always accessible to everybody, and I wish I could, but I try to set that expectation, and it's definitely an interesting line to walk, because if you go too far in one direction, people get the wrong idea. And then if you don't go far enough, people just think like you're this like robot and like all you do is content. And I think when people think you're the robot, when you're just the content delivery machine, but you also have opinions and stuff like that, that's where the toxicity starts to foment. Because
Yeah.
what happens is then people go, oh, streamer died, he's garbage. And it's like, to a certain extent, you have to take that in stride. You have to be like, well, I screwed up, I messed up. Like we were just streaming Fortnite last night,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, surely I can nail this expert track on the Guitar Hero mode, even though I haven't played Guitar Hero in 6 years, and I'm not even playing on a guitar. I'm playing on a keyboard, which is an input method I have never used for this kind of a game. And I kind of did okay on the easy mode. And I was like, well, this is kind of boring. It's kind of slow. Let me turn it up. And I didn't, me being ego Andy, I didn't go to
Normal or
normal
hard.
or hard. I was like,
Expert.
I used to full combo Fire and Flames on Guitar Hero 3. I can do this. I go to expert and I get absolutely creamed while we're trying to play Buddy Holly. I mess up the solo, I mess up the rhythm section, and everybody's watching this. Everybody's hearing it literally because it's a Guitar Hero game, so you can hear the missed inputs. And so that's one of those things where it's like, if you're one of those streamers that can't take an L, if you're one of those creators that like, oh, people are going to make fun of this, I can't handle it, you're not going to do well in a situation like that, because you're going to foment that toxicity where you're going to be like, I'm going to ban this person because they said I suck. And it's
Yeah.
like, are they saying that to hurt you, or are they saying that because you actually do kind of suck in this situation, dude? Like, I think there's
It's a fine line between
really
like being toxic and like haha funny. Because like
yeah.
one of my favorite things to do in your stream is if you mess up anything, it doesn't even have to be Destiny related. I'll just go Godslayer, by the way.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
Godslayer
And I
title is
think
like
that's a
so
hilarious
important.
bit.
It's
I think that's so funny.
for our non-Destiny players, Godslayer is like you could probably explain it a little better than me, but it's a pantheon of all these different raid bosses, and you had to do and it like insanely hard every week, like harder and more bosses, and you had to clear every week and do all these challenges to get Godslayer.
Mm-hmm. It was a big deal when it was going, because the way how it worked was you had to clear everything, and you also had to clear everything with a high score in order to get the title. So just getting through it wasn't enough. You had to like display mastery of the content. And so there's a lot to be said in the community about it. It's not the rarest title in the game because it was available for a while and everybody wanted it. So a lot more people went for it than for like something like Reckoner or Dredgen back in the day when Gambit was like still a thing in any meaningful way. But like a lot of people have it, but it's still only like 4% of the, I think it's like 4.5% of the total player population has the title. And so anytime, and this has been a joke that like started in my community and also started in a few other spaces, and it's just matured anytime you fumble now, like if I fumble on stream, Nick and like maybe two other people, Godslayer, by the way. This dude is a Godslayer. This schlub, this schmenk is a Godslayer, by the way.
I
And
love throwing
it's funny every
variations on
time.
it. With just like random other titles you have in other games. It'll just be like
Yeah.
Fortnite player, by the way. Just
Yeah.
I got this.
Won the last game, by the way.
Putting by the way after anything in any game is the greatest insult and very much comedy. But I think it does
and you got to be able to take that. You can't look at that and be like, wow, Nick is making fun of me. I'm gonna have like a really bad stream now, and I'm gonna be just like you can't do that, because you immediately, what you do when you say that is you say that it's okay in your community to respond in that way, and then everybody's gonna start doing it, because I mentioned it earlier, like about Tastemaker and stuff like that. But when it comes to your community, you kind of are the authority on what is acceptable. You got to take responsibility for that. And I see this all the time with creators. They go, well, somebody in my community did this. Well, I'm not responsible for that. No, you're not. But if you can create a space where you try as much as possible to attract people that aren't going to do that, and when you do catch people doing that, you call them out on it and you get them out of the community, I think that's where your responsibility lies. I don't know that I would go, like, again, parasocial, I can't speak now. The Red Bull is getting to me. I apologize. Parasociality is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I just try to wield it wisely.
Like I mentioned, it's just like, I know that like we have a favorable relationship, at least because you're willing to do stuff with me. But at the same time, like when I'm in your chat and I'm like, you're playing something that I also play, and I'm like, I kind of want to play. You know how I have like a whole like 30-minute like argument with myself of like whether or not to even ask once if you want to hang on that game, because my biggest fear is to be like to do that to somebody where I'm like over familiar and they don't know me. You know what I mean?
I get you. I think that's something I could do better about as a creator, is like creating the expectation, like maybe putting like a notice that I'm going to be doing a solo stream or something like that. Because something I do run into, and this is no complaint to anybody in the community, but something I do run into is where I'll get like target confusion, or I'll get like kind of pulled into stuff that I wasn't exactly planning on doing. Like the Fortnite stream was super fun yesterday. It wasn't planned at all. Like I basically got dared to go get a victory royale by Lethal.
Yeah, it was on Twitter.
Another dude in the community. He essentially dared me. I was gonna play 2xKO a lot more yesterday, but then I was like, I can't let this kid think I can't game. I can't let this guy think I don't get down like that. And so, we had to go hunter pump a couple fools. We had to go win a victory royale real quick. And then it kind of got a little more off the rails with like the Guitar Hero thing and stuff like that. Ultimately, it was a good thing. Ultimately, it was a fun stream still. It just got a little off track. And so I think in the future, if I could go, like, I'm so bad at this, I will be like, yeah, sure, I can do that. And then I realized I said, yeah, sure, I can do that to like 3 different people. And now my schedule is completely ruined. And I have to tell one of them I can't actually do it. And I feel super bad. And now it's just a compounding spiral of mess. But I think that's one thing as a creator that's a good thing to do early on. Is like set solid boundaries. If you're going to play alone for that stream, put it in the title. Like, I'm solo queuing today, or I'm and I never do that. And I should, because then I don't have to turn
say
people down on stream
700 times too, because you do get a lot. Because
I get that a lot. Yeah.
I mean, it's because you're available for your community to hang out with and get to know and like game with. Obviously, you're not like 24/7 available, which is absolutely a good thing. Please never do that. I will absolutely call you out if I see it. I think it's a good thing that you're available enough for your community, that people who are really dedicated, besides like people who also stream, because then it's just collaboration. Me specifically, I hate using myself as an example for stuff like this. I stream like pretty infrequently, and I'm just trying to get into YouTube and stuff. If you have a spot and you're doing something that you're like open and already inviting people to, that it's okay for me to like join, or to like be like, hey, like, oh, like that's actually how I met you, I think, was the Halo Nights. I watched I think probably your most famous clip, the Terra Snarl Brazil with Vex and
Yep.
I if I had to guess, that's probably your best clip by analytics by like a lot. But
it is.
I like just happened to catch your stream and you were playing Halo, and I was like, hey, do you have room or whatever? And I think it was like not first time chatter, hey, can I join? But it was like within the first 10 messages of like, hey, do you have room? And then from there, here we are. So I think you do a good job. I think you're right. I think because you do try to be open so much, putting stuff solo queuing today or chill solo stream would be, I don't know. I don't want to say like what would be good for your content, but I understand what you're trying to say with
No, I think
that idea.
that'd be a better idea. I think it's something I can focus on doing. I'm the kind of person that I'm a dork for wordplay and interesting like little puns and stuff like that. So I'll throw those in my titles a lot, and then people will come in and be like, "What the heck is that title, John?" And I'll have to explain it. I'll do the bit where I kind of explain it out, and that's a little bit of fun. But I do think like I could definitely get away with like solo stream or like just throwing it on the end or something like that after a bracket, and it wouldn't mess up the format of that too much. And it's just it's a consideration I need to make in the future, because it's one of those things where like it's fine now when there's there's 30 people total watching and maybe 3 of them want to say hi or want to join in. But then if it's a situation where there's like, well, you have 500 viewers and they know you do content where you play with your viewers, and that's not all your content, but it's content you do quite often, you're going to get that message 3,000 times over 8 hours.
Yeah,
like
it's going to be rough.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm like, and it's definitely a thing for me where it's like growing up, I was that kid that I just wanted to be everybody's friend, and that kind of leaks forward into my content a little when I'm doing this kind of thing. And I do find myself having to like check myself just a little bit. I don't think it's a big problem for me right now. I don't think it'll become that big of a problem in the future, as long as I just focus on making like clear boundaries.
Making it clear, yeah.
And yeah, and then that's a that for everybody listening who wants to get into content creation, have that plan going forward first, because you don't know if you're going to blow up or how you're going to blow up or when you're going to blow up, and then you have to deal with that problem after the fact, like I'm kind of working through right now. And it's not even a problem. It's like the wrong word to call it a problem. It's a problem of there's only one of me kind of a thing.
There's only
It's
so
like
many hours in the day. There's only so
limitation.
much you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the real solution is you have queue set up, right? People want to join. The queue isn't to play with you. It's to be locked in a CE 2v2 for 6 maps with me and my twos partner. And then depending on how hard they rage is whether or not they get in to the real queue. I got you. Don't worry.
Honestly, that'd be probably the meanest prank I could pull, where I'd be like, okay guys, raid night, and I have like Destiny overlaid on the stream, and then like I get people in, I go, oh, we're only looking for 3 right now, we've got enough people, so we get 4 people in the call, and then I crossfade it to a CE2 or CE Master Chief Collection lobby. That'd be so funny.
And then you have
I gotta do that at some point. That'd be so
absolutely
mean.
Let me know. I will make sure I am there. But you crossfade it with the what I forget his name, but it's from the Spider-Man, the most recent animated Spider-Man movie, the noise, the Prowler noise or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be so exactly. Good. Oh my god, that'd be so good.
Yeah, I think that
we're doing that. You see, that's how easy content creation is. You just gotta have the ideas and go for it, guys. We're absolutely doing that, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just let me know. Hopefully we do it before this goes live. We'll see.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, just for clarification, in the background, behind my model is my CE gameplay. I'm playing 2v1s in that video, because we couldn't find a 4th, and it was, again, I hate to talk about my own skill level. I've been playing 2s with your community, John, and it's like now I have reputation, and I don't even like.
You are absolutely the boogeyman.
I posted like 1 clip, I think, of like CE gameplay, and then there was the one stream where you played when we're playing with me, and like since then I'll like be like, hey, anybody want to play Halo CE? And someone who I've never talked to will be like, no, you're terrifying. And I'm like, okay, thanks.
You absolutely need people like that in a community, though. Like, you need boogeymen like that. It makes it so much fun.
I think somebody asked like about other Halos, and I was like, well, which one do you want to learn?
Oh, that's cold. That's actually cold.
And I was like, well, and they were like, well, they can't all be that different. I was like, well, the building blocks are technically the same, but like Halo 5, Infinite, and 1 are the most different from 2 to 4. 2 to
Oh
4
yeah, for
are the
sure.
most similar to each other. 3 is
Yeah.
probably the easiest to pick up and play. it was, it
4 is
was,
such a weird animal for me because I was insanely good at that game, but I really didn't enjoy it.
I,
Like I'll have to go dig it up. But like there was a clip of me way back in the day. I hit like a Kilimanjaro while talking to my wife, and I was just like annoyed. It wasn't even fun because I don't know that
that's
game is
fair.
a
That is
weird.
fair.
That game is like a weird animal. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
So, uh, lore Halo backstory for me. Halo 4 was the first Halo I got to play online. So it was my first experience with it's like the first Halo like I played and was like, okay, this competitive Halo, I want to like become good or like I want to be better.
Mhm.
I Halo 4 was like my most played Xbox game until like this year. I played a lot
Jesus.
because yeah, I played a lot. I have like almost 40 days, I think, when I used to be able to check the service record. I played a lot more after the turbo update where they made the battle rifle a 4-shot instead of a 5. So I have a lot of fond memories. I played a lot of that game because I made a lot of friends
Mhm.
and stuff on it. So when people are like talking about Halo games, I'm like, yeah, Halo 4 is pretty good because most people who are still in Halo don't like that game.
And I think that's the thing is like it's not a bad quote unquote game. It's not, but it feels so different from everything else to me. And the a lot of like the mentality of like anti 343 sentiment comes from like the changes they made in that game, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think the way I think about it, this is applicable for me for Halo 4 and Halo 5. They are not bad games. Halo 4 is more mid than 5, but it's would have done better if it didn't have like Halo themed art and what's called Halo.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that applies to Halo 5 immensely. I think if
Halo
Halo
5 would
5
have
looked
been
like Reach, if it looked like Reach, everybody would have loved it.
I think if Halo 5 looked like, I don't know, it could look like Reach, or it could look like basically anything else, and was called Space Defenders United or something. I don't know. I don't make
Yeah, maybe.
titles. It
I don't
would
know.
have been more well
I'm sick in the
received.
head. I'm sick in the head, so I enjoyed Warzone. So like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe hitting a 60 kill streak with really broken stuff that you got in a random pack isn't for everybody, and it's certainly not Halo, let's be honest.
It's
But
not.
I had so much fun with it that I probably wouldn't have minded. Like I'll be honest, like if the Spartans in Halo 5 didn't look like they were made out of Play-Doh, I think that I would have been much more kind to the game.
I think we've mentioned it in like text chats before, or like I've responded to you in your stream. I think we're on opposite ends of the sprint argument in a lot of ways.
We are.
Uh,
We are. I'm one of those people that is like, Halo games should play like the package in Halo Legends. For those of you that don't know in chat, Halo Legend. I really can't talk. Oh my god.
yeah, God,
Halo
dude. You okay?
Legends. There was a W in there. What's wrong with me? Halo
Do you smell
Legends.
toast?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Halo Legends was an anthology animated series that was produced at like the very beginning of the 343 days, I think, if I
Oh
recall
God, I remember
correctly.
the hope. I remember the hope we had.
Yep. And that came out and everybody loved it. It's like for maybe some of the older members of the audience, it's like the Animatrix for Halo. And so that came out. It was full of really cool stuff. There's a specific episode called The Package where the Chief and Blue Team have to do some stuff to rescue Halsey. I don't know why she's there, but whatever. It was really cool. And there's a very
It was
specific
cool.
sequence.
That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah, it was a very specific sequence where they are sprinting through a corridor and firing at the same time. And I don't understand how 343 could have produced that and been behind that and saw that. Some executive saw that and signed off on it and said, and didn't say this is how Halo should play going forward. Because if you're going to have sprint, if you're going to have a situation where your top speed and the main like movement speed are not the same thing, you have to be able to fire while going at that speed. It's not Halo if like you can't do that, you
Well,
know.
see,
And so like, go ahead, go ahead. I
you
think I know
just
what you're gonna say.
that's literally just not having sprint and making the Spartans move
Yep,
faster,
yep.
John.
But the thing is, Nick,
Stop making me
it
push
does
more
look,
buttons to move more quickly.
but
It
it
doesn't make
looks so
sense.
cool. But it looks so cool. I can't get over how cool it looks, and I think that's the problem for me. Is like Halo 5 I loved the movement and all the little tech and the little like fighting game inputs you could do to break that game. I know that it's not Halo. I know that it's not what like a lot of fans wanted, but I enjoyed learning that and getting good at it and playing that so much that I was willing to let like classic Halo stay and be its own thing and like let new Halo grow into its own thing. And then they changed it in the next game, and I don't know. They
Yeah.
changed it in the next game and it's like they gave up. They had no like backbone about like their vision for what the game could be, and I think that that was a very bad thing. Again, I think that if Halo 5 was had gone a little bit differently, then when Halo Infinite dropped, it probably would have been a way more enjoyed
Game.
product.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I am definitely like, I don't like sprint in Halo. I think you should have your gun up at all times. I think sprint and clamber are like unnecessary mechanics.
Clamber, I agree with you on, but that's a separate thing.
Yeah, because my favorite argument for this, I'm so glad that you're not that you're a gamer, like a gamer and not like a lore gamer, because a lot of the arguments for sprint that I hear, and it's not as bad in the last couple of years, but for a long time it was like, well, in lore Spartans can sprint at 70 miles an hour, and I'm like, yeah, but they're not doing that through a combat, like
Yeah,
in front of somebody who can shoot them.
Okay, in lore, Spartans can like they're masters of martial arts and they can like 1v1 an elite barehanded. If you're not going to put like Kratos God of War inputs into the melee combat of Halo, don't make that argument. I don't
What do you
think that
mean?
that's a salient
We
point.
had this.
Well, we did have assassinations, and now that you mention it, no, I'm just
Mm,
kidding.
I'm just
messing with you.
kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
But
assassinations should make a return, though. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I think for the casual audience, absolutely. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
always gonna be more
Like you
skewed
can
to
just
like
you can
looking
just
at
turn
a,
them off for like MLG, right? Like you can just
yeah,
have the
like they had a
rules set
toggle. They
for
used to have
MLG set
they had a
them off.
toggle in Halo 5.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
However, one of the greatest moments of like Halo 5 like LAN history is somebody like forgot to turn it off and like animated somebody on main stage.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and Halo 5 assassinations were like, most of them were like really sick. So it was like a really cool,
Yeah.
like really funny moment.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't know. It's I have like very strong. I mean, like, you know, I play CE like a lot. Like if people were like, "Hey, you want to play Halo?" I'm like, "You guys want to play Halo 1?" And everybody's like, "You mean that game that's older than me?" And we turned to dust a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had that feeling a lot.
But it's so interesting to play like a different style of game, because like when I play Destiny with you guys, like I can feel the Halo bones in it still. It's very much departed from what Halo multiplayer is, considering how much abilities matter now and the way the weapon stuff works. But like watching you play with like Misum and stuff, it's just like, oh, I can see the Halo bones in here. They're there. They're not very strong anymore, but they're there.
Well, and that's one of the things I fell in love with the original Destiny PvP experience. Destiny 1 is a very different animal from Destiny 2 in that your abilities are much more like pick and choose. You have to like know your moment to use them, because the abilities are still strong, but they're not as prevalent. The cooldowns aren't as short, and the impact that they have is still big. But I would say it's not nearly as big. Like there's nothing in Destiny 1 that is as powerful as I made a clone of myself that your gun is going to get auto aim pulled to. Like there's nothing even close to that in Destiny 1.
Jeez.
And so like that animal, if we ever get the chance, I'd love to play some like D1 scrims with you sometimes, because I think you would like that experience. Like you would see much more of the Halo DNA in that
I played
game.
Destiny 1.
Well, yeah, understandably. But like the like I don't even remember if this was an option in D1 where you could turn the tracker off. I think they added that in like Rise of Iron, but I don't remember for sure. But like D1 private matches were such a different beast, and it was it was a lot of fun. It was, but it's a very different animal from like what people are used to with Destiny 2, where they see like, well, my abilities are back up. I'm throwing 3 more skip grenades. Get fucked, idiot. I guess.
get owned, nerd.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you made the right play. If I didn't have 4 grenades.
Exactly. I think that for a lot of people, that's one of those things that happens to them one time, and they're like, okay, this game's probably not for me.
Yeah, I think for Final Shape Count and before Into the Light, the little free expansion before, I played once and I got like frozen by like a cold snap grenade, and I was like,
stasis.
And I was literally like, this is the dumb, like as a FPS player, there's like no greater sin than completely removing my ability to move. Halo 1 has like a
Mhm.
little bit where I can stun you, but it's not like it's and it's kind of severe, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I literally like you literally can't move when you get frozen by stasis, and I was like, okay, this game is fucking
Mhm.
awful. Like I literally
Yep.
played like one game, I got frozen and I uninstalled. Like you can like
There
I
was
played with
a
logistics. Like I was like, bro, this is stupid.
Yeah, there was a when Stasis came out with Beyond Light, there was a combo you could do where you could consistently one shot somebody on Hunter with a grenade and shatter dive, like the fast fall, like blow up the grenade. So you would freeze a party of people and just jump, like dive on them on a point, and it was just free multi kills. I stopped playing PvP on Hunter during the launch of Beyond Light because I was so disgusted with how easy it was and how like completely unfair it was. Like, God forbid you have like a network advantage too on top of that. Like, you have good internet and they don't, they're just doomed. They are just doomed. There's nothing they can do. There's not like, and the problem with Destiny 2 PvP, and I swear to God, I will not get too much more negative after this, is that the Crucible balance team has been a skeleton crew in Destiny 2 since basically the launch, because Destiny 2, what it launched as and what it is now is very different. So in the beginning of D2, it was supposed to be a 4v4 esports arena shooter. That's what they were gaming for. And so all of the Crucible maps from year one, and the majority of the ones that are left, are designed for 4v4 like sized teams. The
Mhm.
problem with that is, well, the Crucible is 6v6 now. And so now the spawns are all broken, and they have been forever. The ability balance is all over the place because there's literally 40% more people, or sorry, 50% more people on the map than was intended.
Mhm.
And so what ends up happening is you either have a meta of like hand holding and everybody's plinking each other to death with scout rifles, or you have ability spam slide shotty meta. And both of those two things are, let's just say, unattractive to the new
Mhm.
player. Like, there's a
Yeah.
reason why so many people in my community are PVE, like PVE Peters. They only play PVE in Destiny 2. And it's because if you try to go into the Crucible now with the way matchmaking is, oh, I won a game. Okay, the next game you have to fight somebody like Lodge. You have to fight somebody like Meesum. You have to fight a whole team of that. Good luck.
It's a weird place because, by the way, I need you to understand. You said they wanted Destiny 2 PvP to be an arena shooter, and like, you ever see like cats
Yeah.
when they get like really mad and like fur stands on end? Whenever I
Yeah.
hear arena shooter, and then the game that they're talking about is not like equal
An
starts
arena. Yeah.
at minimum equal starts like fast paced respawn shooter, it like makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a mess.
uh,
Arena shooter, but
it's
you have RNG on what guns you start with because you
yeah,
literally don't know what guns you're gonna get. It was a crazy idea.
yeah. There was a conversation, not to pull away from Destiny too much, in the Discord yesterday, maybe the day before, and somebody said arena shooters and MOBAs did a lot of damage to modern gaming, and I almost lost it. I was like, what do you think an arena
What
shooter
arena
is?
shooter? Yeah, what arena shooter are you talking about? Like Quake from
Quake?
25 years ago? That one? Quake. You're talking about Unreal Tournament. You must be talking about
Oh,
Unreal Tournament. That game that has
2004?
like peak 300 players. Yeah,
Yeah.
peak player population 300. It's like, well, everything. Like, people have been sort of,
The term
I don't know,
arena has just
gaslit is
been
the wrong.
more generalized to
Yeah,
any
like people will
game.
call stuff like Overwatch an arena shooter. Like,
I
it's
saw
like, and
somebody
that's
call
not
Call of
what that
Duty an
is.
arena shooter, and I legitimately almost threw my mouse across the room. Because for people who, at home who don't like have like who haven't like didn't grow up with like the arena shooters. Arena shooters are like
Mhm,
Quake and Unreal Tournament. I think the newest
mhm,
Quake Champions is still it's a hero arena shooter.
mhm.
Call of Duty, Destiny, Valorant, CS:GO, they're not arena shooters. They're different
Yeah.
versions of shooters.
Well, like
So you
even
can
even Valorant
categorize
and
them.
CS:GO are just, they're not even the same animal compared to Overwatch.
They're
Like
tactical
Overwatch is a weird
shooters. Is
creature.
probably the
Yeah,
best. It's
Overwatch is a
probably the
real
best one.
weird creature.
It's a hero
But yeah,
shooter.
like
It's a MOBA shooter, I guess would be a good one. Hero shooter is generally what I think people call Overwatch type.
yeah, Overwatch is like I would say like Call of Duty is a weird animal because it tries to be all of those things every other year. Like
Yeah.
the operators era, the advanced movement era, et cetera, et cetera. But
God,
like,
Black Ops 6. I'm telling you, we are like
yeah.
3 Call of Duties away from them just launching Quake, but calling it Call of Duty. We are
But
so
nobody, yeah, and
close.
nobody knows it, and nobody knows it is the thing, because nobody plays those games anymore, and because the legacy of those games was mostly confined to like PC LAN parties, because like this was in the days before Xbox Live, before online gaming was a mainstream thing.
Mm-hmm.
You had to actually know some networking to set up an internet game back in these days, and it's like
I would say like
people don't really know.
arena shooter proper probably hasn't been a thing that has been like at the forefront of like gaming in like 20 years.
Yeah.
Like realistically, and people call Halo an arena shooter. It is the closest in mainstream media today that we have to a true arena shooter. And Halo is not a true arena shooter. It's a hybrid between arena shooter and what at the time was called squad shooter. So if you think like Call of Duty is closer to a squad shooter than Halo is, it's more like a Twitch reaction shooter. Like the 2-weapon system is not a mainstay of like arena shooters. Regenning shields is not like arena shooter.
Weapon and health pickups are like the mainstays of that. Like knowing your map and knowing when the spawn timers are and how to get to those things as fast and efficiently as possible. Those are the hallmarks of an arena shooter, but nobody remembers it because it's like Quake 2 was 30 years ago, and
Halo's popularity has gone
like you had to have a computer science degree to do it back then.
Yeah, so like I get like definitions change all the time, but it feels insulting to Quake to call Call of Duty an arena shooter. It like blows my mind. I'm just like, no,
well, definitions change over time, but it's like I don't think it's been long enough to justify that at all. And I think that a lot of people don't really think about it this way, but when you have the length of like time to have seen how the gaming industry has grown, something I hear all the time from people is like, well, WoW is too complicated of an MMO. Well, and that is true now, but what a lot of people don't even realize is that WoW, when it came out, for example, and I'm just using WoW as an example, Halo, this is also true of Halo to an extent, where the goal of those games when they were launching was to casualize the experience for a bigger mainstream audience. WoW was a casualization of Ultima and that era of MMO, wherein the game was designed to feel good to play, look good to play, and be able to attract an audience. And people will hear me say like vanilla WoW was a casual MMO and be like, are you insane? There's no dungeon finder. There's no like resource management, the death, there's like repair costs on your gear when you die. Like there's all these things that a lot of people don't like see as casualizing the features, but they don't like WoW had all kinds of stuff in it that was like, oh, this is way more simple than what we had to deal with in the past. And the same is kind of true of Halo. Like a big thing in Halo that a lot of people don't realize is like Halo was the reason why console shooters, like Halo was basically a proof of concept that you could do a shooter on the console. Because back in the day, analog sticks and like stick movement and stick aim was so bad compared to mouse movement and aim that nobody even wanted to try to do it.
Halo.
And then Halo came along and said, well, actually, you just do X, Y, and Z. And they
revolutionized console shooters.
And it completely changed the game. And so from there, that's where you get like the modern era. Like Halo is kind of the break point of that. And so for people to come in and say like, well, it's an arena shooter, I was like, is it though?
Halo is not a true arena shooter. It's the closest to arena shooter that has hit mainstream. And when I say mainstream, being like extremely popular, I'm talking like millions of people have played.
Yeah. I would argue even that I don't know that you could do a true arena shooter on console, just because you need the verticality of being able to look up, and you really can't do that easily on console.
What we were talking about.
How modern gaming sucks and is terrible. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think Halo. You're right. Like Halo kind of started the modern era of like console shooters. But now like we can see some of the effects of the things that Halo didn't do great. But like there's no way they could have known how it was going to go with controllers. Because even at the time, like PC gaming was still like consoles were cool, but like gamers are still more on PC, and like but consoles became more popular. The ramifications of like aim assist have not been like truly fixed in a while.
Aim assist and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race.
Exactly. They could cut it in half in most games, and like by half or more in most games. And like it'll suck for Timmy on his 47-inch plasma screen TV, which is a dated reference. Will struggle for a little bit, but they'll adjust. Like you just adjust.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of it comes from like, again, the mainstreaming of these genres where it's like We have to make sure that when somebody picks it up, they
They're
feel
good.
good about it,
Yeah.
even if they're not actually doing like something that's technically skillful. Because there's like, it's an unfortunate consequence, and this problem is starting to happen in fighting games, and I'm super scared that it doesn't continue. But we'll get into this in a sec, because I do want to talk one thing about it 2XKO. But like,
Mm-hmm.
there's this situation where it has to, like, from the first blush, in order to get as many people as possible in, you have to make it feel like they can execute
They can
and
be
be a
good.
hero, even if what they're doing isn't very technical at all.
Right.
And at the risk of sounding like an elitist jerk, this is a problem that almost happened with Guilty Gear Strive. I will not commit to saying that it is actually a problem in Strive yet, but if they're not careful, it will become one with Guilty Gear Strive. Because for the OGs out there, they know this, but for the audience that may not be aware, there's a huge gulf of difference in the technical execution requirements of a game like Guilty Gear Strive versus the very last, like the very previous game in the series, Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2. And so, like, there's nothing in Strive that requires like 2-frame links. There's nothing in Strive that requires, well, okay, that's not actually correct anymore, but there's the execution barrier between even those two games in the series is very wide. And so I understand at a baseline level why you need to sort of soften that barrier to make fighting games like appeal to a wider range. Because what's the one thing you always hear about fighting games whenever somebody wants to play with you is like, oh, I don't like spinning my controller around, or I don't like doing this input, or it's way too hard, I
It's
can't
too
do it.
hard.
And so
It's usually
they
it's too
will,
hard.
yeah, they will button mash for a little while and then stop playing the game, or they'll treat it like a Mortal Kombat thing where they take it out with when their friends are over, they button mash each other to death, and then they do a fatality, and it's like, oh, that was so sick. And I think for Mortal Kombat especially too, I think that's where a lot of the staying power of that game came from, is its ability to appeal to a range of audiences while still having like technical execution under the hood. Something I'm super excited for with a game like 2XKO, which I've been playing a lot of over this weekend, is it has a much simpler input schema than other fighting games while still having really, really technical stuff very quickly under the hood. There's like a easy mode combo system like Marvel vs. Capcom had with Marvel 3, where like you can just button mash and get like an auto combo. And a lot of other fighting games have that, like Dragon Ball Fighters and Grand Blue and those games. But the second you take those training wheels off into XKO, there's wall bounce combos, there's restand combos, there's frame timed wake up mix ups with Echo. There's all kinds of cool stuff just right there. And the game is very not afraid to tell you it's there. One of the really good things about Xrd, Guilty Gear Xrd, that they did was they had a really good training mode to try to teach this stuff to people. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of people like went through it and learned that way, but it was there. And I'm really hoping that 2XKO has something like that on launch, because if it does, there's like, I don't mean to gush, but this, like, I'm a huge League guy. I used to play League. I played League the first year it was out back in 2009, and I've played it on and off throughout like its entire history. And the potential that this has to be like the new tag fighter, the new like big game, is, it's hard to overstate.
Well, I mean, League has an unreal install base to advertise to, so
Yep, exactly.
that'll help. I Guilty Gear Strive is my first fighting game that it's not technically my first, because I played Dragon Ball Budokai a little bit, and
Hell yeah.
I played some Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur was on arcade machines. I didn't own Soul Calibur, but it's like my first fighting game. And I think you know this, but when I first started playing with you guys, the input was, it's like, you know, like quarter circle forward, kick, or whatever whatever your kick button is.
Yeah.
But it says it had a plus sign, and a lot of the stuff I work with, plus sign means and, or like do at same time.
Yes.
So like when I was trying to like figure out how to like do anything, I was like trying to do the thing and hit the button at the same time.
Yep.
And fucking it up. And then I think one day I was like, why didn't anybody tell me I do the thing and then push the button?
Well, and the unfortunate thing is that there's a notation system in anime fighters, which is what Guilty Gear is, where a lot of that kind of gets out of the way. I'm fluent in both notation forms now, from just, you know, osmosis of playing fighting games for so long. But yeah, that's another thing that like newer players really struggle with, is how do I read this combo notation? Like, how do I and how do I know what to do here?
Yeah. But then since then, I locked myself into I think it was like 40 hours in a week against tournament winning Anakim. Or like,
Yep.
it was the week, it was one of the tournaments he won. It was the one where he like went in and basically didn't drop anything until he fought, I think it was Twin.
Yeah.
It was like that week he played me for like 40 hours. And he was like, I only won that like that because I warmed up for 40 hours beforehand. And so what's really funny is the first footage of me playing a fighting game that exists is me like slowly walking back and forth and going, John, I don't know what the grab button is. Leave me alone while we're
I'm
fighting.
like walking at you and I'm walking at you in Misfinder stance, getting ready to bounce you off the wall. I remember that. Oh God. Yeah, that was mean. I should have been a little nicer there. I apologize.
It's okay. Because the next time you fought me, I was doing mix-up combos and
Yeah, you definitely got me back. You definitely.
I mean, you still beat me, but you were like, I didn't win a round start, and I was like, I know. I practiced these specifically.
Yeah, I got mulched on round start. It was great.
Fighting games are. I didn't realize how much fun fighting games were gonna be. I have a stigma against Riot, and with their anti-cheat, I really, really, really don't want to install that. But if 2XGO is as fun as you're saying it is, like more people are gonna be playing that more often, and I'm like, but I like Strive.
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely still playing Strive. Don't get it wrong. Yeah. They just put my main character in the game, and they just announced another season full of stuff. So I will definitely be. Again, one of the nice things about being a variety gamer is you can kind of ride the flow of what's coming out and still be able to make content and stuff like that. I'm a little hypocritical on that because I'm very behind in my content backlog in terms of delivering like highlights and stuff. But the live content is always fresh. It's always new stuff. Like we just played the new Fortnite season. We played this new 2XKO game. I'll be playing the new Strive stuff when it comes out, and et cetera, et cetera. So like that's a really nice benefit.
Speaking of Strive, you have an announcement from your Discord that you're eventually going to get your Strongest Into the Heavens tournament for your tournament winners.
Yes.
Eventually. And then you're going to start up your season 2 of your weekly Strive brackets. Do you have any insights on when that might be coming or anything?
Okay,
like
so
that?
I can't commit to a hard date right now, but I will say for sure the invitational tournament will be sometime in September, probably before the middle of September. So I'm aiming right now for the weekend of like September
the 11th. Let's go.
Thankfully, that's on a Wednesday this year, so I don't got to worry about that. But either September 13th or the 20th at the absolute latest. So sometime in that window is when I will want to be doing that invitational series. And then the next week after that will be the beginning of season 2.
Okay, and fighting game general thread. Clip it and ship it.
There you go. So hopefully this comes out maybe before then, and then I can be proven right or wrong, or I don't know what. But
if it doesn't happen, this video will be extra funny.
Yeah, there'll be big evidence. But yeah, no. So then after that, because like what I want to do is I want to have that invitational tournament. That way we establish a somebody sitting at the top of the mountain for that first tournament. Because the way we do, for those of you that don't know at home, we do the Strongest Under the Heavens. The way that we structure it is that it's a bragging rights tournament. So the winner of the previous week gets pulled out of the tournament bracket and is labeled the strongest, and then they fight the winner of next week's bracket. So that way what it allows us to do is it keeps us from having a situation where one player is just that much better than everybody else and just continually crushes the bracket. And nobody can learn, nobody can get better. It's supposed to be like a beginner player series kind of a thing. So
it's not anymore, but yeah.
It's not really anymore, but a lot of the beginners have evolved by just sheer to survive. So it's still kind of working in that respect. But we pulled the champion out of last week and have them fight the champion of the current week's bracket. And if they win, they take over the new title. They get a little they get a little extra icon in the Discord, and they get commentator box privileges, which means they can come in and help commentate and spectate the matches and sort of describe what's going on. And that leads to, I think that leads to a nice little setup, because you get insights from the champ as they are watching everybody else play and everything like that. And so it's a nice little like inside baseball kind of a thing.
I I'm excited to see those start up again. I wonder if it's, do you think, do you think it's grown since the last one? Because the last one you got, because for a while you were getting like 12 to 16, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think the last tournament was like 13 or 14 people, which is a little smaller than the one before that. But the scene has definitely grown. And the big thing I'm excited about is you guys have had a couple months now off from tournament to just play whenever you feel like and pick up stuff. And so, like, I fully expect when the quote unquote beginners come back to this series, they're going to be absolute monsters by comparison now, because the 2 months off and everybody's still been talking about the game. I've seen you guys in Fighting Game General setting up lobbies and playing and learning stuff. And like, I'm low key getting I'm a little worried, because you're like you especially is like, okay, I know strike throw, but what about this? What about this? What do I do off of this? And it's like that question asking process is the foundation of all fighting games. The best players are always doing that. Like, how do I do this? What is this? What can I do from this? And learning those intricacies is what makes a top player a top player. And so I'm super excited to see how you guys do when the tournaments come back.
I'm excited to see tournament play, just resume, just because it's like a fun thing to watch, and especially now that I have more of an understanding, it's definitely more digestible too. So I'm excited to see that. All right, I do want to kind of keep these like around an hour, so we're a little over, including our little pause.
Yeah.
And I want to be respectful of your time. I know you're planning to do a stream, I think, this afternoon. So
yeah, and I'll be going live in like a couple hours.
Yeah, so I want to make sure you have plenty of time to chill, relax, because I know that it's yapping is it's yapping. So just a few questions to close this out before we end it off. So you just recently put out a video, and you've been talking some mad game about how you've improved your process for video making.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you about a way too early ETA for the next video?
I'm trying to get back to one a month. I'm trying to get back to it being a monthly highlight video, because that's kind of what it was supposed to be when I started doing it as a more scheduled and serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we should see one sometime in September for sure. If I have to cut the video down to be a little bit shorter and get it out, I will do that. I'm still very backlogged, but what I'm trying to do is innovate I guess it's not really innovative, but I'm trying to create a process where I don't just do like Destiny only clips. I'm pulling from all the games that I play at the same time, so that the videos have more variety. They have more kind of a storyline, because what'll happen is we will talk about something on a Destiny like stream, and then we'll go play something else, and we're still talking about the same topics, but it's a different game. And so there's still continuity in terms of the jokes and the bits and the conversations everyone's having. It's just that the theming and the backdrop is a little bit different. And so hopefully people that play those games, they can enjoy that. Oh, hey, I didn't know you play this. I get that a lot on my streams, where I didn't know you play League. I didn't know you played fighting games. I didn't know you played this. It's
I didn't know you played Fortnite.
Yeah, it's like, nope, I am in fact a variety creator. I do try to play a little of everything. And so my goal is to get everything caught up by the end of this year fully. And so that way, going into 2025, everything comes out more or less on time. So like, if I stream all through January, then at the end of January, that will have the highlight video ready to go. Yeah, exactly. January video and so on and so forth. And then that way, when I go to like Christmas time, I can just like, here's my best of the year, guys. You guys all had fun with this. I pulled all of these clips from all of the year. You guys can enjoy that. Happy holidays. And I can take a little bit of a break. Yeah, hopefully great till New Year's at least.
Yeah. We've talked about some of the suggestions I have for your videos. I thought of one and I wanted to bring it up. The first game I ever played with you, I think, is so legendary to me and to some people, because I had like 6 ninjas in that game, and I think having a medal counter where it just pops on screen every time it's in the kill feed, and it's just,
I'm putting that right down now,
like top left or something, just ninja counter for Nick 1, ninja counter for John 1. Just
I think that's a really good idea. I think that's something that I could include as like a general edit, even that would be really fun to do in videos.
I think if you have stuff that's like Lodge freeze snipes some random soul and crucible counter,
I could keep a counter across the months, so that at the end of the year you get the full like list. That would be really fun.
God, how many poor souls did Lodge freeze and snipe in John's streams?
I think that's a really good idea. One of the things I'm going to be doing going forward is where I've told myself this forever, but I will try to make it happen. I want to do somewhat shorter streams, like under 8 hours. I usually
What?
stream for like 12-ish hours every weekend. So like Friday, Saturday, I usually do a stream for about 24 hours total. Which is a lot of fun, and I have a lot of fun doing it. But the problem is with the way my schedule is right now, all of the editing has to happen like at 11 o'clock on a weeknight when the kids are in bed and my wife is asleep, so that I can actually have time to work on it uninterrupted. And so my hypothesis is that if I do slightly shorter streams, but then take some of that free time I would have had to stream and then edit from the stream, then like 90% of the hard work of like setting up the timing and clearing out all the audio and getting rid of all the coughs and all that stuff, all that is done day of. And then the only thing that is left for me to work on the week is like timing of the video, what kind of specific bits. I can do a lot of my animating stuff and my animating pipeline from like my upstairs spaces now through my laptop, because I can just remote into my main computer and do like a lot of like the setup for that now. So hopefully the goal is to use the time more efficiently while maintaining and increasing the quality over time.
Right. Awesome. Well, I look forward to for you doing that. Second last question. What music has gotten your attention recently?
Recently I've been listening to a lot of like pop artists. I'm not really a big pop guy, but I'll be on TikTok and I'll hear some
more of a
new
soda
song
guy?
or whatever. Yeah, I'm more of a soda guy. I listen to a lot of like instrumentals. I listen to a lot of like classical. I used to play violin back in high school, so I have kind of a taste for that.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not music for like a video or whatever, I'll listen to. The whole Kendrick Drake beef got me back into rap for a while. I've been listening to a lot of like old school rap and stuff like that too. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
but yeah,
anything in specific, like any songs you'd want to shout out? Anything that maybe a smaller artist you've listened to?
Let me check my most recent play. I'm a YouTube music enjoyer, so
same.
it gives me like my frequently played and everything. Yeah, I when I when I started doing like serious quote unquote content creation, I was a little confused at how like ad runs and stuff like that work, because I haven't seen an ad on YouTube for 10 years. I've had YouTube Premium the whole time. I got it as soon as it came out because it's like, in my opinion, it's such a better deal than Spotify, because you get all the benefits of YouTube and ad-free viewing and all that, and you get music. And so it's like it's arguably the best like media deal that I could think of.
I think the only thing that rivals it while you're looking is it Twitch Prime, Turbo? What is it called?
The Twitch Turbo is really good. Yeah.
Yeah. If you watch a lot of Twitch, which I like, I work from home, so like all I do is watch Twitch when I'm at work and while I'm doing my work at work. So like not having to listen to a streamer I don't sub to its ads constantly while I'm at work, but I get to listen to the funny stuff is great. It's top 5 purchases. Did you find any music you'd like to advertise specifically?
Check out, if you guys haven't heard him, it's not really in the same vein of what I was talking about, but I just saw his song pop up and I'm probably going to listen to it in just a minute. Check out Kyle Landry on YouTube. He's a pianist that does a lot of like personal remixes and stuff like that of old Final Fantasy titles. And he also has a lot of original music that's really, really good. And he's got one of the most consistent sounds over the years I've heard. So like, even if you listen to his old stuff, it's going to sound just as good as the new stuff. So definitely check him out. Kyle Landry on YouTube.
Awesome. What's got me by in a literal chokehold is Sleep Token. They kind of blew up last year.
I've been seeing you guys post about them. I got to listen to more of their stuff.
Their most recent album, Take Me Back to Eden, first track's called Chokehold, so it's, wordplay, it's great. It's kind of like propelled them into like more mainstream stuff, but like they have 3 albums, and then they have some like, I think it's called EPs. I'm not like huge into music terms where they just like
EP is like a 4-song quote unquote album.
Yeah, so I think they have 1 or 2 of those, but their 3 albums are like some of the most stellar. Like I put Take Me Back to Eden like above like Meteora in terms of like how fucking good it is.
Holy, that's big praise, because I'm a huge
Linkin Park fan. And I love Linkin Park. Like it kills me that I never got to see them live. Yeah, so like Sleep Token is like they've basically been all I've been listening to for a long time, because their songs are so varied and good. I compare them to like Meteora, Linkin Park, or so definitely recommend that. That clip you saw actually uses the intro from one of their songs.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So it's really good. Love them.
Right on. Well, I'll give them a listen then.
But lastly, before we head on and I'll let you go get ready for your stream, is how can our listeners connect with you or follow your work?
The easiest way would be Linktree/Timewalker. That's got all of my like socials and everything. I don't really have a standardized like naming convention yet. On YouTube, I'm Time Travel Zero with a zero. On Twitch, I'm Time Travel Zero with underscores and the word zero. On TikTok, I'm the Time Walker, and on Twitch, I'm YouTube or Twitter. See, I can't even get it straight. On Twitter, I'm also the Time Walker with an underscore. So it's a whole mess. But Linktree/Timewalker, that's where you can find all of my links, all of my socials. Obviously, I'm on YouTube. If you just search John Titor, Timewalker, you should be able to find me. I think if I just type John Titor, I show up pretty regularly, but that might just be my like autocomplete doing it for me. So
Time to
if you do, actually, you know what? That's a good idea.
Live Google John Titor. So John Titor and Time Travel underscore zero. It's the Wikipedia. And then
Okay.
Stranger Dimension. Yeah. Unfortunately, if this is through Bing because I'm lazy and haven't set my default on Edge to Google. Also, I get free internet points to get cheaper.
Oh yeah.
Things. So like,
I gotta check that. I haven't like opened mine in forever.
Here, I even did it on Google.
But yeah, if you search me on YouTube under John Titor, you should be able to find me. I have pretty distinctive thumbnails too, so you should be able to pick those out of the list as you see them. But yeah, just Linktree/Timewalker, you'll be able to find me through all of that. And yeah, I'll be live a little later today, so if you're on the Discord, you'll see that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, I'll have the Linktree down there, and I'll have the Discord if it's not in the Linktree, and just so that you guys can, our listeners can join and say hi and meet us and do that cool stuff. If you join the Discord and say, "Hey, I want to play CE," I will immediately appear and
he awakens.
We'll be best friends. I'm pretty sure John gets like a cold sweat in the night when he feels me post about CE in the Discord.
It's like a tingle. It's like a spidey sense.
Yeah. I can't wait to see clips of the CE TV2 from your point of view, make it into a video. It'll be great.
That's gonna be so great. There's a lot of moments where I turn my camera and then something insane is happening. So I'm very excited to edit those down.
I can't wait for you to turn. It's like one of the ones where I fired a rocket at you and like from far away.
There's a couple of those.
And you just like you gotta do the freeze frame where it's like it pauses and goes, "We'll be right back."
Yep.
Anyway, I so appreciate your time today. We went a little longer than I'm gonna try to keep these, but I appreciate you being willing to be the first guest and redo this. Because fun facts for everybody listening, this is the second time we did this because I was a fool and messed up the audio last time.
So, I was wondering if you were going to mention that. I was like the whole time I was like, is he going to bring it up? Am I going to be able to make a joke about that?
Oh, I was waiting for you to make a joke about it, actually.
Oh yeah. Well, we get it right first time every time. That's just
first
how
time.
we do it around
here. We do it live every time. Never an issue.
Exactly. But yeah, no, like happy to be here. Like I have a lot of fun yapping with you. I know we did go long, but that's just because I enjoy talking to you. Like I think we're very similar in a lot of our like thinking on things, and that lends itself to conversations like these.
Absolutely. And I can't wait for you to decide that a Halo night has to happen so I can introduce some of your new community members to
soon. I will drag Halo back to relevance, kicking and screaming if I have to. I will not let that game die.
We of the Halo community appreciate it. But anyway, I will go ahead and let you go here. We'll get everybody out of here. Hope everybody who's listening or watching, you have a great night, day, evening, lunch, dinner, breakfast, wherever you may be watching this. And we will catch you guys on the next time when I'm talking with another special guest. Have a good one.